no, 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 no. And what I gotta say, 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 and what I gotta say.
I've been in a couple conversations where you heard people to say history is not important, it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect us today. And the first thing I could think of is ignorance. When you think of ignorance, it's a twofold definition.
Right.
The one, you could be ignorant of information, you just don't know the information. But the other one is the root word of ignorance, was ignore. And I feel like, just as well as you, when you ignore your past, when you ignore the start of something, you're just creating yourself to repeat the ignorance, or repeat the failure.
History repeats itself.
And like you said, when history repeats itself in a negative way, you're kind of like spinning your wheels.
Exactly.
Right?
Perpetuating your own destruction.
Right. And be honest with you, today there's nothing new under the sun. So everything, has happened before. Mindsets has been before. So it's going to be imperative to learn how people dealt with certain things. Right? Along with the words that they create and the things that they uphold. Like, we have phrases out there that people kind of fall into, like the whole concept of ignorance is bliss.
Right.
For who? Right? For you not to know something, why would that be blissful, right?
Right.
But you're not able to face certain things that you have to deal with in terms of, terminology of words and things of that matter. But, of course, those people can't be scientists or not scientists, but people who are specialized in race.
Right.
Right? So that's something that's shaping your mind, that they're the superior, and they keep that in you.
Right.
Right? But in terms of African Americans, we have to get back to valuing ourselves. So
first we need to be telling ourselves and know that Black Lives Matter.
Right. So that's some of the things that I love to touch on. I said in order to correct, you have to self-reflect, right? You have to figure out, what can I fix internally before I start to tell them how to fix things externally.
Absolutely.
Right? So in terms of getting our house in order, getting our content in order, not only the content that we speak, but the content that we listen to.
Right.
So when you're buying certain kind of albums and they're glorifying violence, when it's dehumanizing women,
right?
When you're listening to that stuff affects you, right?
Right.
And it's a culture that they create, and it's all binding to a system that's created for us to fail.
Right.
So when you said Black Lives Matter, really, right? Think about that beat that you were just bopping to, right?
Right.
The beat is hot. You like it.
Right.
But he just said, like, take Rick Ross for instance. He just said that he has a friend. It could be a joke. He has a friend that has 100 bodies.
Right.
And you want him free. Right?
Right.
But you're concerned about the guy who just shot one body, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, it's all bad, but self-love, Black Lives Matter, like, you have to believe that within yourself, right? But what happens when you try to challenge these people? Making proper judgment, right? People say they have discerning gifts. They have spirit of discernment, right? Well, what do you think discernment is? That's judging things, right?
Absolutely.
Trying to figure out what's what and what's right and what's acceptable.
Down to the clothes you wear.
Right. So if we can't do that for each other, we can't hold each other accountable without somebody saying, well, hey, man, you can't judge me. Me telling you to not cheat on your girl is not judging you, brother. Me telling you not cheat on your girl is not saying you're going to hell.
Right.
What it's telling you is you're out of line.
Right.
You might need to, take care of your situation.
Everybody needs some correction.
And for my thing is, I always say that people have trouble with putting feeling over the word of God. If you don't believe in the word of God, you should have some kind of final authority. So they put their feeling above, like, the word, whatever word they fall into. But something comes to mind, conceited. We might think of as somebody who thinks they all that or whatever. But conceited definition is highly favorable of your own opinions, right? So you create something in your head.
Say that again. Say that again, brother.
Conceited is highly favorable of your own opinions, right? So your opinions matter above everybody else's. But in some cases, like when you check in Romans 1, your opinion is higher than God's.
The Hotep. Now, you see, I want to just interject this real quick before I let the brother finish. You see, once again, how people were under the impression of a different definition for being conceited, and now you see conceited used in its proper context.
Right.
Education.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
So a lot of times we just fall into our feelings, but in this life, you definitely have to have some kind of sense of structure or control. So a final authority is beneficial for you, right?
Absolutely, law and order.
In a book, I'm talking about, like, so I play football in high school and college. We follow the rules while playing football. Following the rules don't make you less of a football player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you still can be great, you still can be talented, but you're within the rules.
Right.
And a lot of times, what we do is we just want to be so lawless. We want to be able to do whatever we want.
Lawlessness.
But that's something how we was taught. When you was little, they'd tell you what? Go ahead, express your feelings. Right? No, brother, that's not wrong. If that's what you feel, say it.
Right.
We're just killing ourselves. But again, Black Lives Matter, right?
Nah, don't judge me. Don't tell me this and the third. So what are we going to do then?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep on talking about get this man in office, vote for him, vote for this person. Nah, we gotta make the change within and amongst ourselves first. We got to deal with what's going on within our house first, and then we can go outside and then try to help some other people or get some more assistance. First, get yourself together. Know yourself, understand yourself, protect yourself, respect yourself, check yourself, and then we can go somewhere.
Right. I had a young brother, one of my proteges. We kind of talk about some of the issues that we have in Black communities and how people are so bullheaded. They don't want to follow any order. And I said, look, man, like, I'm dedicated to, building up my youth, building up, people who with these issues. And he was like, yeah, man, me too, man. But how did you get them to change? How do you get them to do things? I said, well, first you have to change yourself. His immediate response was, no, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about them, right? So a lot of times you don't really see yourself in the picture of, making bad decisions. When we speak about these people who need to, go out there and create action, we're not only talking about them as separating ourselves from them, but we're included in this, right? So when I say us, it's us, right? I struggle with the same things you struggle, but the separation between me is I'm ready to do something about it, right? I'm ready to make a transition. So in terms of what we're talking about, history, learning that, you kind of know what you're dealing with. So when you go back and you read Malcolm and you read Martin, you read these people, you figure out how they got us to the place where we was at, right? Where we at right now.
Hotep.
Right? And if they had the resources that we had,
all right,
where would we be as a people? If I ever come at you with a challenge, it's because I want to know more. I want to learn. And I'm not coming at you as I'm right, you're wrong. But the whole thing, you talk about communication, there's questions that I'm going to ask you, right? And I'm asking you out of curiosity because I want to know. Like, maybe the information that I have is wrong. But here's the thing about your content. The things that you know in your mind, it would do you well to put it out there. It would do you well to put it out there. Why? Because if you're not exercising your mind, it's not getting any stronger. And if it's not getting any stronger, guess what? You have a small mind. And we are so the people that have some of the smallest minds in terms of food, history, Bible, like you name it. We our mind is so small that we have no clue about it, right? Again, when you go back to the definition, highly favorable your own opinions, there's nothing bigger than your opinion, right? And that's a tough cookie to swallow. When you're meeting people, their objection to Bible is their idea of what was taught to them, right? I have so many conversations with people where they say, oh, that's the Bible, I don't agree with that. And so I start asking them questions. And the questions, the way they answer it, is obviously of inaccuracies that was taught out of the book. Absolutely. Right? Here's the thing. Back when the popes was running things in terms of the religious community, and their religion, Catholicism, was huge. Right. The Bibles was chained to the pulpits, right? People in the congregation didn't have access to the Bible. So anything that they say out of the book is worth gold to the congregants, right? Think about that physical aspect of what's going on there. Right now, mentally, it's the same thing. We have people depending on their pastor to give them the word. We have people afraid to challenge their pastors, right? So
Put it in the book, they won't touch it.
Right. That's how you hide something from him. Like he's not gonna go in there to search things to see if they're so. You know, like search things to see if they're so. Right? Them Galatians, right? Not like the Galatians.
What now? What you talking about?
No, I'm saying the Thessalonians, the Bereans at Thessalonica. Yeah. So yeah, you search things to see if they're so. You tell me something, I'm gonna go consult with my final word, my final authority, right? And that's how you have to do it, because we can talk about religion, we can talk about all these things, and our feelings can be involved. But if you don't have no book or no final authority to go to, we're not gonna know who's wrong, right? And in my understanding, I can find every answer that I need in that book. So.
When people hear church, when people hear certain words, they're programmed to respond a certain way. They just automatically shut down.
My question is, how do you, whether it's a movement, it could be a religious movement, it could be just any kind of movement that you could think of, how do you respond in disagreement without even knowing the other half? Right? So
only in foolishness.
Right. So I'm like, whatever you're saying, what you stand for, I disagree with it. Why? I'm not sure. Or whatever you're saying, that's wrong. Why is it wrong? I don't know. I just know it's wrong. How do we do that? And how does that harm us? So rebellion, right? Are you satisfied with your level of intellect? Are you satisfied with your progression?
The state of condition.
Are you satisfied where you at? Like, let me tell you something. Our parents and grandparents, they taught us to be content, be satisfied with the progression that we have made and hold on to it, right? But we're in a different generation right now.
Right.
We're in a generation where it's time to stand on those people's shoulders and go farther, right? So that leads us into, if we did know our history, what would that mean for us? Wow. So what that mean for the parents of today? What are we telling our youth? Are we telling them they can be a Malcolm, a Martin, a Marcus, a doctor, these things? Are we telling them that, or are we keeping them confined to our limitations? I think it was a couple of days ago I addressed a certain issue, and you talk about the things that we see on TV, the things that we hear in the airwaves. We have to start changing their mind, you know? Lauren London, I said this on Facebook. She was in an interview. She said God created her to have a child, right? And I can kind of see where you're going at with that, but this is what you're really saying. Like, I'm not accountable for the decisions that I have made to have this child out of wedlock with this type of person, right? And I'm also, now again, the guy can have a great life. He can have money, he can have the education, whatever, but his father, the content that his father, Lil Wayne, the content that his father put out, there's no way you can learn some greatness from that, right? I mean, you got somebody who will tell you that a woman think that he's God, right? You got somebody who consistently say they don't trust a female, right? You got somebody who consistently take drugs until they pass out. Like, how is that going to help or heal any kind of black community? So the first thing we will do is be more accountable, responsible. Now, you can make better choices, but I'm not attacking that lady. I'm not attacking that baby, but I'm saying our youth and the regular people, they don't have a bank account like Lil Wayne or Lauren London.
All right.
But they living off your content.
Absolutely.
And that goes back to the system. Like, you know, the rap music, you know, is funded by somebody who don't look like us, right? And they're giving
don't care nothing about us.
Don't care nothing about us. He's giving a little bit of money to somebody who
could be perpetuating our genocide.
Right, looking like one of us, but at the same time, the content is to keep them ignorant, right? Keep them ignorant, keep them doing those dumb things. And when they do those dumb things, well, I have a couple buildings that have to keep a certain level of occupancy, right? And that building is a big business. So you keep making your people sound crazy and do dumb things, they're gonna go to jail, right? Or be Bobby Smurder, right? Go to Bobby Smurder. Bobby Smurder's in jail now. He GS9, whatever the gang is, they're in jail too. Who's making the money off the royalties? Every time you pay the Hot Boy song, whatever you want to call it, who's making the money right now?
That sure is not the hot boys. You know what I'm saying? But
our youth, our people, we don't even have a desire to learn, the desire to gain knowledge as a people, as a whole people. What do you think has caused that, and how can we increase that desire? It's definitely a money issue. Those people, a lot of those pastors or those preachers, they're definitely money hungry. But again, our intention is to, one, shine light on history and how it can help us, how it can make us better as a people. And in doing that, we learn our history, but we need to rebuild the image of the black man, rebuild the image of the black woman, rebuild the image of the black family. You said Black Lives Matter. I said Black Love Matter, right? Because when you do that, all those broken homes, the at-risk youth, those issues, that's coming from us, you know? And we have to address that head on, you know, and to the point where you don't have to be apologetic about how you feel and your stance, right? It's not about judging them to say, hey, you're going to hell because you don't take care of your children. You're going to hell because you cheated on your girl. No, look, brother, like, you're counterproductive of what I'm trying to do. And so if you're not with us, you're against us, right? And so what we're trying to do is just get back to that mindset of, man, we definitely have to educate ourselves. We definitely have to love ourselves, because it's obvious that, you know, the surrounding, the circumstances don't love us as much as we thought they did. So I think, you know, this is a really good opportunity to kind of provoke some dialogue between people, get some good conversations going. It can be biblical, it can be racial, it can be whatever it is, but the history of something is going to help you kind of shape your idea of where you need to go, where you need not to go. You don't want to fall in the same kind of slopes that they fell in. So you definitely want to get yourself on a better path. And I mean, history in itself creates a pattern. I think biblically, like, if you don't know what God has done, you don't know the changes He made, the different administrations, like, you can find yourself quickly out of the will of God, right? So right. you follow, you know, just examples. Like, there's 3 or 4 dietary instructions, right? You have to choose to follow one of them. And at times, there are people who are saying they're still doing things because God said, or God said. Well, if God told this person to do something, and He's telling you to do something totally different, following that in your mind is following the will of God, but it's not. So history is so important in that context, as well as you know, spiritual or just in life in general. Like, you definitely have to know what's going on. You just can't come into the forefront and say, well, I got new thoughts, I got new things, and I'm gonna get things done. Now, you definitely have to look back. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, you gotta get the information so you can move forward strategically. Let's say if we take Martin and Malcolm, right? Both of them had an approach. There's some holes in his approach, holes in his approach. Well, your intellect is up to par to the point where you could put it together and be more effective, right? So
you have to know your history.
You got to know your history.
Yeah,
it's all about exercising your content, man. Like, there's a verse that I love it. Don't surround yourselves with people who think like you only, right? If you're the smartest person in your crew, you need to find some different people. There's a verse that says, them that compare themselves among themselves are not wise. So if you can't exercise your content with people of different opinion, how you gonna grow? Right?
And what I gotta say is rebel, 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 rebel.